Well, cut that one a bit close. I sat down in the chair and then the intro finished. I'll tell you about that after the intro. Anyway, hello everyone and a very warm welcome to you as you join me once again for another live stream from my channel HEMR. By the way, it is lovely to see you all again, unless my mind's gone completely broken. I didn't see you last week because I was busy, and even more to contribute to the fact that my mind was broken, I can't remember why I was busy last weekend. But anyway, regardless, it is good to see you all again. We're back at the servicing bench, at the workbench, for doing some more servicing on the trains. Hopefully we can get 2 or 3 done today. So as I've said, today we are servicing once again. I have a little bit of a confession to make about that later as well. I may have cheated slightly. Again, I'll explain after the intro. And because we are servicing, you won't have the opportunity, unfortunately, to put in your requests on the layout. However, as I said in the chat to Northern Transport Hub, we are running trains obviously around the layout just for a few laps at a time, just to see what they're like after and maybe before as well. We will be live until about 6 o'clock today, so we've got an hour and 20 minutes now, so plenty of the time for the usual mishaps. An hour and 40 minutes, sorry. So there is plenty of time for the usual mishaps and me probably burning myself with the soldering iron and stuff like that. And of course the usual banter with the live chat. So I will roll the intro to get this stream underway. I would normally say turn the soldering iron on at this point, but it is already on. But anyway, I will roll the intro. Do enjoy the stream, everyone, and I'll see you in about 13 seconds. Enjoy the stream. Right then, so now I can explain why things went a touch wrong. So the reason why I sat down in the chair and then the intro finished is because I had to do a few things downstairs. I was getting myself a drink, today's drink of choice. Do I have to adjust the camera for this? Can you see it? No, not really. Give me a moment. Today's drink, you still can't see it. Give me a moment. If I do this. Today's drink of choice is water, ice cubes and a lemon in a Stella glass. My Stella glass, I bought for 50p from a car boot, so lovely. And you can see it up there as well. Yeah, I've got 2 hands. Well, 2 right hands. So we can start the stream now. I've shown you my drink. Let's sort the camera about. So yeah, that is why I was late. So I was getting my phone and my phone charger from downstairs, getting myself a drink. And also topping up on cotton buds, so that took a lot longer, and I went for a pre-stream lavatory break as well. What else have I got to say? This keyboard, in case you're wondering why it's here, I've decided that instead of, because normally I have my keyboard over to my right, sort of just behind my phone here and the mouse there during the stream, because I don't have to do that many camera changes and I can just do it with my right hand. But at the start of the stream, when I have to, you know, do all the intro stuff, mute the mics, switch between my intro outro script and actually, you know, get it onto here and do all that stuff, it's a lot easier to have the keyboard here. So I can move it now. So just in case we were wondering, that was there. And I've got something to tell you as well. So I have actually started an eBay page now. If you were with my channel maybe 2 or 3 months, I'm just tell you what, I'm putting the mouse down here, I don't need the keyboard. But if you were with my channel 2 or 3 months ago, you will have known that I did a bit of a buying and selling run. So I bought broken or non-running or badly running model trains off eBay, got them sent to me, I did them up, sold them on at a fair price, but obviously made myself a little bit of profit. And I have done that again. However, I'm not doing it on my parents' eBay account anymore, so you can, you know, rid my parents' eBay account off your saved sellers list if you want. They don't sell very much, and they're certainly not going to be selling model trains. But I do have my own eBay account now. Apologies, I pressed the wrong button. Typical, I pressed the joining video instead of the browser screen, because the browser screen button is right above the joining video. Apologies for that. Good job it's not a mishap stream. But here is my eBay page. So I have got some things on sale at the moment. Obviously I am, you know, sort of very new. I joined on the 3rd of March, probably only actually started buying and selling on this about a month ago. So I have got some things for sale. Obviously I'm not saying you have to buy anything from me. I'm not asking you to, and I'm certainly, you know, you only buy from me if you actually want to buy something. Don't just buy from me because it's me. But if you are in the market for model train stuff, then I do have some stuff on at the moment. And in fact, I will show you these 2 engines I've got, because obviously these 2 haven't gone yet. I'll show you those in a minute, and I've got some other stuff on as well. So yeah, that is my new eBay page. My model trains and stuff I sell will no longer be on my parents' eBay account, then will be on my own eBay account called Hybrid Trains. And I think if I just post the link into the chat now, that there should be the link to my eBay page. So if you are in the market for some eBay stuff, here is my page. Obviously, I'm buying stuff non-running, broken, you know, stuff that needs a service off eBay, you know, renovating it and selling it on. So I sell it at fair prices. I think £57.50 for a HST power car and a dummy car is fair. Sort of, you know, 37 quid-ish for the power car, which is, I think it's about right, and about 20 quid for the dummy car. So obviously, if you're from my channel, you know what I'm like. I'm going to sell them at a fair price. Obviously, I have to make a profit, of course, because that's the whole point of doing this. But this is from me. You will know it's been serviced properly. You'll know it works. And obviously, I'm not going to start advertising my page on YouTube channel if I'm selling dodgy stuff, am I? So you can trust me, if you do trust me on YouTube anyway. And this is all stuff that's properly serviced and maintained and cleaned and done to a high standard by me. So if you are in the market for some eBay stuff, then that page, you know, if you're looking for some stuff, then do bear my page in mind. And as I usually do when a subscriber message sort of buys something off me, I normally send a bit of a signed thank you letter as well. I think Kurt from the Model Shed and Pete Clark from the channel Pete Clark from Transport and More. He's changed his channel name now. They both got letters when they bought stuff off me as a, you know, thank you to my subscribers. So if you do want one of those, just message me saying, you know, I'm subscribed to your channel, Hybrid Mod Railway, my channel name is X, and I will, you know, chuck a letter in with you because that's what I've done before. Anyway, I think it's time to get servicing. There is one thing of admin I need to do before I actually get the stream up on my phone. Let's not show you my password. No, I'm incapable of typing 6 numbers incorrectly. Let me just get the stream up on my phone and we will actually get cracking. Speaking of screens, I think my screen is bending forward a bit. There we go. YouTube. Let's have another drink. Hopefully this doesn't get really warm because it's, you know, just above the soldering iron. But set this to mute. I'm aware you can see none of this. I will check the audio as well. That's something I need to do before we actually get started. And then I'll tell you my confession about servicing these. Why is Do Not Disturb working? Not working. I've had a missed call from my grandma. I shall ring her back after the stream. Oh, come on. Live. Right, one moment please. Let me just check the audio. I will be back very shortly. Right, apologies for that long wait, everyone. For whatever reason, YouTube decided to crash twice while I was doing that. Anyway, the audio sounded alright, the background music's not overly loud. I've just turned the mic down very slightly. I may turn it down just a touch more as well. So, yes, we're all good. So, in terms of my confession to servicing, I have gone ahead and, well, not accidentally, but I have done one engine off camera. And that here is the 08. Simply because when I service things, usually, well, when I was actually fixing up the HST and the Triumph Class 31 that you just saw on my eBay page, The stream's lagging on my phone, let's catch that up. Because when I do servicing, I don't just sit up here, you know, by myself servicing. I usually have my phone on, and when I'm servicing, I usually have OO Bill's servicing videos on as well. And I think I just got to the end of finishing servicing the Trian Class 31. And on Bill's video that was sort of in my watch later, as I was finishing servicing the Trian Class 31, Bill's video on servicing the 08 came up, and I thought, oh, this might be interesting to sort of do it along with him, because I am aware that you do have to sort of disassemble half of the underframe to get the wheels out, which is necessary to clean the pickups. And at some point I will make a tutorial video on how you service the 08, because it's not exactly straightforward, and it's certainly not simple, but I have serviced the 08 off camera just because it was there in the moment and it made sense to do it. So apologies for that, and apologies you don't necessarily get a tutorial video as soon as you would have, but at some point I will make a video on servicing the 08. Me and Sam's Trains both thought that you had to disassemble these side frames here where the coupling rods poke through. That's not actually true. You just have to pull off the brake rigging from the underneath. You can just see it there. The sort of in little pegs, and the sort of pegs push in. The brake rigging doesn't actually hold the wheels in. The base keeper plate sort of clamps the wheels into their bearing slots, the slots in the chassis, and then the brake rigging is just for show. So although it might seem like, you know, it's just resting on the brake rigging, it's not, because if you can see, there are small gaps. Let me see if I can point. There are small gaps between the cranks and the brake rigging. So base keeper plate holds it in. Just when you take the base keeper plate off, the brake rigging prevents you from pulling it out. So I have serviced that, and I will do a tutorial video in future. I tell you what, immediately, why don't I show you the things I've been doing? So I've serviced the 08, so let's pop that on the track, and after this we'll get cracking. So let's get this camera swiveled round. It may crash, because it often does. Apologies for all these leads. These are my leads that I just clip onto my track for power. So let's give you a decent run. Try not to knock the camera. So here is the 08. There we go. Runs nicely. A lot smoother, I think, and certainly a lot quieter. And there was another mistake I assumed about the 08 as well. It's that on the old 08s, I think this is a slightly newer one, because this does actually have a blanking plug in it for a DCC socket. Me and Sam's Trains, because we both have the same colour, I think same make 08 as well, from the same period, we both assumed, and the diagram tells us, that the pickups sort of rest on top of the wheels. They're not wiper pickups from the side. We thought the pickups actually rest on top of the wheels. Well, they don't actually. They do sit behind the wheels like normal wiper pickups. And neither me or Sam's Trains, you know, because Sam didn't disassemble his 08, he hasn't done. He says he's fitted some more regular wiper pickups to it. Says he hasn't fully disassembled it. Turns out we were both wrong. It does have normal wiper pickups. However, they were still absolutely filthy, because this model, I guess, is about 10 years old, and I haven't disassembled it in my time, and the person who had it before me mustn't have either, because it was absolutely full of fluff. And I didn't have this when I ran on carpet, so they've never ever been cleaned, and it did actually get to the point where it was cutting out, but thankfully, even very slow, or as slow as it'll go over the points, it doesn't cut out. Very, very well geared is this. That's full speed. So that's that one. I shall show you the lemur, the Intercity 125. Let's get the power car. So here is the lemur Intercity 125. This is one of the ones I've bought to sell on. Now I'm not going to be filming servicing videos for any of the engines I do my buying, fixing and selling on, simply because it would take too long. Because I just need to get these done and get them sold on, because I don't want them to be in my possession for months. Well, there's the lemur, there's the power car. The dummy car is obviously just a dummy. Well, that's great to demonstrate, having it stalling on your points. Big bits of rock in way. And the wheels do need cleaning actually on this. I always clean the wheels before sending it out, because obviously I have to run it in on my track. But there is the HEMR Intercity 125 power car. Lovely. Very nice and quiet runner. I have filed the gears on this one, but even so, it does seem to be lovely and quiet. So there's the HEMR. Now, where are we looking? The Trian Class 1, no, not the Trian Class 101. The Trian Class 31. This is also a nice and quiet runner. To say it's a spider assembly motor, and I think this one's about 60 years old, it does run very nicely. And that's quiet for one of these models. This is the older one, which only has pickups on the motor bogie. It doesn't have the axle pickups on the non-driven bogie. But as you can hear, this is quite quiet for one of these spider assembly motors. This one is for sale at the moment. That does run really nicely at slow speed as well, to say how old that motor is. Lovely. And something I didn't mention as well is that I actually do have another Class 31. This one is still in the process of being fixed. The roof isn't on, that's in the drawer. And yeah, it hasn't. The body hasn't been cleaned. The mechanism's been serviced, but the body hasn't been cleaned. It hasn't been washed. You know, the body's filthy. It looks okay on video. It looks much better on video than it does. But all the window slots will need cleaning. But this is another Class 31. The mechanism's fine. It just needs cosmetically looking at. This is another Class 31 that I bought to do up, and this one's been fixed as well. This one isn't on eBay yet, and obviously the roof isn't on and isn't clean. But I will still show you how it runs. Again, I think you'll agree. Lovely and quietly to say how old it is and what these spider assembly motors can be like. A little bit of a growl at slow speed, but when it gets going, even at the high speeds, it works very nicely. This is the one, as you can see by that green wire, with the 2 axle pickups, one for each rail on the non-driven bogie. So there you go. That's what I've serviced off camera. I'm not making servicing videos for engines I'm buying, fixing and selling on, because it just takes too much time and it's not worth it. And I don't just want to become an OO build duplicate. So that's what I've been doing. I've serviced the 08 off camera just because it made sense to while that video from OO build came on. So apologies for that. But, you know, it just made sense, and as I say, I will make a tutorial video in future for that. Try and get the camera lined up again, this is always fun. Managed to get it without that bit of wood in earlier as well. That might have to do. That will do. Right, we're 24 minutes into the stream. We haven't done any servicing yet, so let's do some servicing. So, as I remember, I've had to glue something on this model, so I'll just put this back. As I remember, Tornado's wheels, aside from a tender, needed cleaning. Flying Scotsman's wheels, apart from the driving wheels, needed cleaning, and Flying Scotsman also ran the wrong way round. So I'm not going to move the camera back, but I shall just quickly confirm that again in case I was delusional last week. Quickly reach under there to the controller. And yes, Flying Scotsman does run the wrong way around, and I've spilt water all over the bench. So we just need to quickly switch that round. I can get the sponge in, which I need to remember to use more. As I said last week, there is a hole that you can just go straight through the pony truck with. there's a hole there that you can just go straight to the screw for the body with, but it's so much of a pain trying to guide the screw in, and it's a brass screw so it doesn't stick to the screwdriver, because brass is non-ferromagnetic. So it's just easy to whip that screw off and take this screw off. It's just much less faff. And I think slightly different screws, but that one stayed in the pony anyway. No, pony's at the front, isn't it? Because pony and cart, horse and cart, pony goes in front of the cart, doesn't it? So that's the trailing bogie. So it should just be a simple case of swapping the wires around. So that brown one needs to go there, and that insulating jacket needs to be swapped round. So where's my solder? Draper lead-free stuff this. I would like leaded, to be honest, but it's difficult to get, because they don't sell it to you anymore. I mean, it's not like you eat the stuff. We're going to have to unsolder this. So, to pull that sleeve off, and I really don't want to release the brushes, and something's just stuck to my finger. We'll swap that brush, that thing around actually. And if you put the insulating one on there, make sure it's all the way right to the end, and I've lost the brush, as I thought I would. Right, tweezers, which are trapped underneath my phone. And so we need to put this in again. I'll have to go in from the bottom, won't it? Of course it will. I was hoping I was going to be able to do that without taking the brush out. Thankfully, the other brush has stayed in place, he says, and then it'll drop out in a minute. If I turn it round, it might actually be easier, and you might... No, you won't be able to see it. The camera's not on this side, is it? If I put a little bit of tension on there, that should hopefully keep the other one in place. I really don't want to have to take the motor off, because it's not a pain, it's just... Okay, fine, I'll take the motor off. It's not got any wires on it anyway, has it? I suppose it makes sense. Thankfully that magnet's not a neodymium one, otherwise this screwdriver would be sticking to it like hell. Motor off, and I'll just pop these brushes back in. Make sure the sleeve is right to the end. Come on, little brush, there we go. Pop the motor back in. We can actually move that wire to the other side, because it was on this side before. Move it over to that side, then we can solder it to the other brush. So there we go, motor, which is that screw there. Screw you back in. And this should run in the right direction now, because we've swapped the insulating sleeve over, and now it's just a case of getting my tweezers, because I don't want to burn my fingers. Bending it, and soldering the wire to the insulated brush. Solder the one side of the bulb firebox glow wire to that brush, and solder that one also to the insulated one. I think that's okay. We will just check this on the track, or I will check it on the track. If I had 3 webcams, I'd have, you know, one here, one that's looking down here. I'd have one over on the station, and I'd have one down here where I normally turn the camera to. If I did have 4 webcams, which I don't, but hopefully should be up to 4 after Christmas. It's sticking a little bit, and it's shorting. Why is it shorting? Okay, so it is shorting the controller. That's odd. Why? Oh right, because the brush isn't actually in. If you see there, look, the brush here has popped out a slot, so it's actually touching the metal chassis. So if I pop that brush back in the right place, see, it's things as simple as that that make things not work. Does that work now? No. Oh, Is it a bit sticky? No, that brush keeps popping up. Yeah, it works now. Crikey, why is that so quiet? What? Why is it all of a sudden so quiet? Fireworks are going off. Why? It was quite noisy like a second ago, and now it's really quiet. That's odd. I mean, I'm not complaining, but that sounds almost as quiet as a modern locomotive. There's a slight hum from the motor, but that's wonderful. Just listen how quiet it is. You might not even be able to hear it. If it'll actually not cut out, thank you. Just listen how quiet that is. That's wonderful. I'm really happy with that. Can you tell? Oh, I'm well chuffed with that. Not keen on going forwards though. Don't know why that is. Likes reverse. Maybe I think it just needs running in because it's going forwards now. I think I might need to give it more oomph on the controller. Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. That is really nice. I'm shocked at how quiet that is actually. Just give everything a once over just to make sure it's not going to pop out again. No, it isn't. We can fold across those wires like that, and we can get the body. I'm very, very happy with that. I don't understand why it went from being okay, not deafening, but kind of noisy to just. Wow. I'm very, very happy with that. Body fixing screw back in. And there's the hole for the firebox glow we talked about there, where it's supposed to come out onto the track like it does in real life. In some locos anyway, I think. And the pony truck, it's probably going to be really loud now we've put the body on. That's probably it actually, but because it acts as like a sound box. What wheels needed cleaning? They've been cleaned, just the pony and the trailing trucks need cleaning. And there we go. I will test this now, but I'll show you it when we've cleaned the wheels. If I can actually rail it on track properly. Right, quick test. No, that's definitely quieter. Even though we've put the body back on, that's definitely quieter than it was before we swapped those brushes round. But yeah, so somehow that's mysteriously got quieter. Maybe a bit of oil ran into somewhere I hadn't before. Maybe something just got knocked back into alignment. It has got a little bit of a growl, but that is the quietest that's ever been, that engine. Even though we've put the body back on. So that's good. Does the bulb work? Can I see that from here? Yeah, the bulb does work. So, just got to clean the wheels and Flying Scotsman is done. We did the powered ones last week, or 2 weeks ago. Northern Transport Hub says, I'm back, went shopping. Thank you for joining. Hope you're okay. Hope your shopping went well. And as I said in the comments earlier, I hope it's not a permanent ban you got from the ELR, because as I say, I went once, but I really liked it, so I hope it's not a permanent ban. No doubt I'm going to get shot for this, but I'm using WD-40 to clean the wheels because T-cut's too messy. Oh, it's not a permanent ban, good, because I find T-cut is too messy. It's useful for really stubborn carbon dirt on wheels, but on the pony trucks these just look a little bit, you know, mucky. They're not terrible. So I'm going to use WD-40. You can use T-cut, but I only use that on terrible wheels and on commutators, and if they're really terrible wheels I'll get the rotary tool out. But because these don't pick up current, they're generally not as dirty. So we'll give them a clean. I am going to use WD-40, and another thing about T-cut is, and the reason why I don't use it is because it gets stuck in the spokes and you have to take the base keeper plate off because otherwise it gets stuck everywhere, whereas with WD-40 you can slap it on, you know, as you like, and most of it will sort of evaporate off after a while, unlike T-cut, which just dries into a, we need that nozzle on, which just dries into a white residue. WD-40, you can't see it and it doesn't get stuck in places, and it's just easier to clean off. Northern Transport, you've also said, I was just spotting, okay. I mean, you've said you're in your late teens, so as I've said, I don't see a problem with that. I think that's slightly harsh. Just hold the cotton bud on and spin the wheel against it. I can see that the coating seems to be wearing through on this wheel, which is odd, but yeah. It is a shame that you got banned. Is your name Joe? I can't remember. I feel like it's Joe, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think you told me last time you came into the stream just to call you by your name, but apologies, I don't think I can remember it. Is it Joe? I can't remember. Apologies. But yeah, that's a shame that. You said you're in your late teens, I don't see why there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I can go to my local station and stand there for hours and nobody says so. I think I'm running out of WD-40 in this can, or maybe because I'm holding it wonkily. That's those two wheels done. We'll do the front. They're more annoying because they're sort of a split axle, so to speak. It's when you rotate one reel, it doesn't rotate the other. There is a metal axle, but then there's like plastic bits that sit on it, and if you spin one wheel, the other doesn't necessarily spin. It's a little bit of build up on that wheel, but it's not proper embedded. That should just come off. That has come off. Just again spin the wheel against the cotton bud because they're not terribly dirty, there's just a few specks. On the right hand rail, which I think makes sense because that's the positive rail. Right, they're all clean, so we'll use the other end of the cotton bud just to give it a quick dry. Won't need much of one because when you've only got small amounts on it, just sort of go away by itself. I do need some more cotton buds, as you can see. Now we'll get the oiling pen. I need a new oiling pen because this one's terrible at dispensing oil. You have to tap it, turn it upside down and wait for a blob to form on the end. But I'll just put a pinprick of oil where the ends of the axles sit into the chassis. So yeah, I have to tap it to get a bead of oil. You should just be able to turn it that way in one form, but it doesn't. I think I need that Gauge Master one. Spot of oil there. I only need a very small amount. Lewis Cartwright has joined and says, hello, how are you? I'm very good, thanks, Lewis. Are you okay? Thank you very much for joining today. So that's all the axles lubed. So we'll turn it over and just put a pinprick of oil on the motion now. You do not want to be chucking a load of oil on here. It's more acceptable, although you shouldn't be putting tons on gears, but when people say a pinprick of oil, they mean a pinprick of oil on the motion. You do need a fairly good amount of oil for gears and such. You know, the pinprick of oil thing for gears, it will not make a difference whatsoever. You need a pinprick of oil on the linkages and the motion. You need more than a pinprick of oil on gears, preferably grease. Just get behind there as well. But people mean a pinprick of oil for the motion, not a pinprick of oil for the gears. That's that side done. Especially more important to lube up the motion on these old models because the metal might not be, well, it probably will be actually, but it will have had more wear because they've been run longer because they're older. Lewis says he's looking forward to his birthday on Tuesday. Happy birthday for Tuesday, Lewis. Hope you get some nice things. Fireworks are going off. None come out then. I don't know if we're running out or if it's just playing silly beggars. Do remember, especially on the middle wheel, to get a spot on the screw at the front and in the middle as well, because there's more than one rod that connects there. So you need one there, and then you need one behind as well. Come on. And you need one behind as well, because multiple rods, in fact I think 3 rods connect to that middle wheel, so there are multiple points that need oiling. So there we are. I think that is Flying Scotsman done. We will have a quick look at the tender. So Scotsman, if you just want to sit on the track for a minute, because we will be running you shortly. I'll just test to see if you work. We'll switch to this camera for a change, a little bit to mix it up. We'll have a brief look at the tender. Because although, yeah, the plastic wheels probably will need a bit of cleaning, there's really not much I can do on the tender. The chuffing thing still works. That strip doesn't need bending. That still works fine. The sandpaper's not worn out. So I think just a bit of a dry rub with the cotton bud. I don't want to start introducing fluids to plastic wheels. Will just be sufficient to get some of the dirt off. They're not incredibly dirty, although that one is. But just a bit of a dry rub should be good enough to get most of the dirt off. As I say, I don't want to start saturating plastic with cleaning fluids and IPA and stuff, because it'll just knacker them. Certainly you don't want a rotary tool plastic wheels. I may have to get a small screwdriver on this one because it is fairly dirty. Yeah. Just don't dig your screwdriver in too hard, and if you just sort of use it as a mini lathe, you can scrape all the surface dirt off. I don't know why this one's so dirty, none of the rest of them are. Yeah, that's most of it off. Blow that out. That cotton bud's had it now. Right. That one was filthy. None of the rest of them are. Lewis has said, put a bit of oil on 3 of the teeth on gears and then run the loco back and forth. Yeah, that's fair enough. You just need a fairly good amount on gears, you know. If you put it on 3 of the teeth, then it will work it around. That's quite a good thing, actually, because if you put a little bit on a lot of the gears, and especially on multiple places on the gear, then yes, it will make its way around the mechanism. So that, you know, that says that, well, it'll find its way around the mechanism. It'll distribute itself, so to speak, because, yeah, the mesh. There's no point just putting oil on one gear. You need to put them, like you've said, a bit on a few. Yeah, that's a good method, that, Lewis. There's no surface dirt on that one. It's just mucky plastic. Well, not mucky plastic. It's just the appearance of the plastic. But yeah, that's a good method, Lewis. I'd say I do that as well. Something similar to anyway. Run the loco back and forth. Yeah, I think that, you know, about 5 minutes of running will get the oil distributed. Obviously, you know, it's not like when you buy a brand new loco, you run it 30 minutes either direction without a load, and then you can run it with coaches and stuff to bed it in a bit further. You know, I think it just probably takes about 5 minutes for stuff to get round there. But yeah, there's no real set time you should run in after servicing an engine, because if you just use it, that'll run it in. But I definitely wouldn't recommend with a new engine running it 30 minutes either direction without a load. Just to let things bed in, and then you can start putting a load behind it. In case of my Hornby 9F, it took 30 minutes of either direction running in, and it pretty much ran the same as it did. But then after that, it took around 2 hours of running in either direction with a load for the noise to die down, because it was quite loud at first, but it took 2 hours of running with a load behind it for that noise to go down. So yeah, obviously I was just using it as normal at that point, but that's what it took. So we have a chuffing noise, so we will see Flying Scotsman flying once again. We've resolved the short that it had. So if I whip the camera around, yeah, it's done that. Sometimes this camera, when you start fiddling with the wires and twisting it, sometimes it conks out. So there we go, there's Flying Scotsman. I'll catch up on the comments. Northern Transport Hub says, I get mixed messages to how old you are. Could you say either teens or 20s or 30s, etc. Teens. There you go. Mid-teens, could you say mid-teens? I'll say mid-teens. But yeah, I guess you could say that. I'm doing a hobby as typically old manners model railways. I know that's been very stereotypical and I don't agree with it, but I guess that might give you that message. I guess I'm quite old in the way I sometimes speak as well. Head of science at school calls me old man. But yes, teens, there you go. Scotsman! Away! There we go. Still doesn't like going in forwards. I think that may need some running in. There we go. Scotsman does work now. She's not shorted. I'll give her a few laps around the track. I think the tender's not... I don't think I've put the tender on properly. But Scotsman flies again. Just make sure there's no obstructions, which there isn't. I think I probably will run this one in for a while, because it doesn't seem to like going in forwards for whatever reason. So that, I think that'll just need a run in to fix it. Ah, fair enough. When you said my drink of choice, yeah, it was blackcurrant and lemonade. Today it's water with a lemon. Yeah, it wasn't booze, it was blackcurrant and lemonade. Oh, you could see the firebox glow then. I don't like stalling old Triang engines, but there you can see the firebox glow just there. And chuffing tender works as well. But yeah, fair enough to make that assumption, especially if you didn't hear me say it was blackcurrant. So there's Flying Scotsman done. I'm just going to try backing off the pickup plate ever so slightly. I mean, I don't know what the current state is. I'll just take it off and tighten it just. I just want to see if that makes a difference. If not, I think it just needs some running in. If that's made a difference, that's a miracle. It may have been cranked down too tightly. Yeah, look at that, it goes forwards flawlessly now. It was a bit sticky in forward before, but that... What I've done is, I've just backed off the 2 screws on the pickup plate and then ever so slightly tightened them in again, because I think they were in quite tight. I've just backed them off and ever so gently, just so I could feel resistance. And I think that's fixed it. There must have been either putting too much pressure on the wheels or not making contact. But look at that. That now goes forwards and backwards. If I actually give it some oomph, because I haven't got the controller turned up enough. that goes forwards and backwards. Perfectly. Lovely. Very, very pleased with that. The 7 seems to be wonky. Oh dear. See if I can nudge that back into place. I think all the transfers are loosening on here. Shame. Right, that is Flying Scotsman done. Northern Transport Orbit, yes you can. I always have, what do you call it? Can't remember what you call it. Live chat replay, yes, I always have live chat replay on. Yeah. So yes you can see the chat after the stream is finished. Swish the camera back. And it's done that stupid thing where it lags again. Oh, and it's done it again. Apologies. That's roughly where it was before. So, Tornado. If I can remember what needed doing. I think all the wheels needed cleaning here, didn't they? Yes, they did. It was just the tender wheels that we did, because we looked at the tender first. So what I'm going to do is, because I want to have the middle wheels powered while I'm cleaning, I'm going to wick the body off and hook up my crocodile clips. What? There's water everywhere. Oops, open my parts box then. So we'll whip the body. This needs a new body, as I said last week, because various bits were broken on it when I bought it and such. So if I just connect my crocodile leads to the track, whack up the... I should just leave the controller on, shouldn't I? Controller's just there. Whack the controller up and connect. If I short these, does it make sparks? Yes, sparks have been made, so we have got connection. Shouldn't really do that, but I have. Oh well. We repaired all the wiring last week, which I'm pleased to say, after coming back to it this week, I didn't just make it look the same. It still looks lovely and neat, coming back to it a week or two later. I can't remember if we did a stream last week. If I connect the power, the wheels do move. So let's try and get a good connection here. I need something to prop the flywheel up with, because otherwise it's just going to bog down on the sponge. Will this bit of weight do? Will you do? You will do. Power needs to be up even further, because it's, yeah. Not run the fastest this, but it's, yeah, fast enough. We'll have it near full power. We need to realign the bench. We need to get the cotton board to the WD, and obviously I'll squirt the WD-40 and the cotton buds off camera because there's not enough room. Take the cap off. So squirt some WD onto a cotton bud, and then because it's powered, we can just touch the cotton bud onto the wheel, wiggle it backwards and forwards on the flange, and then also touch the back of the wheel as well. Switch to the camera. And I'll just clean them all in one and dry them all in one. Just move along the cotton bud as it gets dirty. Whoops, whacked the flywheel on the sponge. Could do with some WD-40 contact cleaner. Be better than this, but this works fine. These never get really dirty, these wheels, because the modern wheels aren't. The coating doesn't wear through like on Triang and Lima ones. I think I forgot to do the backs of the wheels on these. Yeah, not really filthy, just surface dirt. and give them a dry. I hope I've got enough cotton buds because we have not got any more in the house whatsoever. Give all the wheels a lovely little dry now. And I think we're okay. So we can could reach with the controller, but it's more effort than it's worth, so I'll just take them off. We can disconnect those. Now those wheels look definitely shinier. We can do the trailing and the ponies now. Ponies, pony. These don't touch the track, but I might as well just give them a little bit just to be sure. Don't need to provide them much attention. There's probably no real need to clean them all, but it'll just satisfy me that they are. I could probably take this pony. Can I take I could take that pony off. I am going to take the pony off because it's just easier than faffing about with it wiggling all over the place. Let's not put that in front of it, and we'll clean it with it off the loco because it's easier. And these pony wheels are dirtier than the driving wheels. Maybe because that's because they run first on the track. Once again, the positive side is the dirtiest. It'd be a miracle if we actually get onto an engine we haven't seen already this week. Could do the 040 ones and cheat and then say we've done 2 or 3. That one's really dirty, that one. I think my track will need cleaning actually at some point. That's absolutely filthy, is that, look? Oh, we might not have enough cotton buds. It's big shop day tomorrow anyway, Monday, so... I could probably save that cotton bud to use again. Spot of now we'll do the oil when it's back on the loco. I'm not going to put any oil on those back wheels because it's just really a waste. There was no real need to clean them, so there's no point putting oil on them. They're not going to be spinning that much to wear through. They might get dirty, but not enough to warrant, you know, not spinning enough to warrant putting oil on. Is this front bogie actually getting any tighter? Yes, it got tighter there. So, get the oiling pen. Again, we only need a spot. Don't want to do those. Just a spot where it goes through the chassis at either end. And we'll do the linkages. There's quite a lot on this. I'll try and be quick. Oh, that's quite a big spot. We'll put that in the middle. Yeah, we don't need to... that was a massive blob on the end, so we don't need to put multiple spots on the middle one, because that was a huge blob. That was quite a big blob again. Yeah, I'll put you on there. Very inconsistent, this oiling pen. I do need a new one. I need the Gauge Master one that OO Bill uses. It's a lot better. There we go, there's some oil coming out of it now. Again, I'm just tapping it to get the oil to come through. So it's a bit crap. We will put another one just on the middle. There we go. Remember to do some on the slidey bit. I don't know. Position is on that slidey bit there. Make sure you get some on there, because obviously that does move backwards and forwards. I'm sure it's got a name. It's not the piston, because that's inside the crank. No? Maybe? I don't know. Make sure to get some on all the linkages that go behind each other as well. Want a fairly big bit on that cross slide. I'm just going to call it a cross slide. Some of the linkages don't actually move, so sort of that bar there which connects there to the top. Some of them don't actually move. Another big blob that can go on the middle. One thing I forgot to do was forgot to put on oil on the shaft as well that does come out of the piston shaft. Because that does move in and out of the cylinder. So some oil is going to go on that as well. Come on. There we go, that's got some on. So that's Tornado done. All we need to do now is pop the body back on. Pop it on. Make sure the wires go in. Oh well, that actually went on with relative ease. Come on, locate! Why is it not locating, or is that located? That can't be located, it's not even straight. Is that located? That is located, there's just a big gap at the back for whatever reason. Odd. Right, screw. Fix the body on. Yeah, it must be because all the wheels are level. And that metal block's sat against the body, so there's just a big gap at the back for whatever reason. I should know this, I've had this apart enough times to know. Right, there's Tornado. We're not going to put the tender on because, yeah, we needed to service Flying Scotsman's tender, so that's why Flying Scotsman's tender went on with Tornado. But we serviced the tender for Thingy Bobby Tornado last week. Hate it when it does this. Stop deactivating. Take them off. I'm aware they're in the way, but it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be on this camera for hours on end. Oh, the power's already on. There we go. Why has it stopped? Shouldn't do. Stop derailing. Ah, it's pinching my finger. Ah! I've just got my hand stuck. Just pinched my finger. Bloody thing. No, I don't think those wheels are on right. I don't think that body's on right. Why is it not working? I'd love to see it. Did I not dry the wheels enough? It's never given me problems before. Why won't it work? proper badly pinched my finger, that. I don't know where I got it stuck, but I got it stuck. Oh, well, that's odd. The bogey's in the way. Nothing from those two. Something from them two. That properly. Ah! Oh, it wasn't that. It pinched my finger, but also in the same spot was a bit of metal from the wire brush, because I've been wire brushing a lot recently. That pickup I had to take off, didn't I? Because it got bent. Taking it apart, didn't it? So there isn't one on that wheel, so that's fine. As long as we get one from there and there, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, well, that's very, very odd. Very odd. I've only bent one of the pickups slightly and it works fine. I don't understand that. Very, very, very odd. Well, it may be the fact because the wheels aren't touching the flipping track. That'd help, wouldn't it? What's going on here? The two front wheels aren't touching the track. They're like raised. Why is that? The front bogey's got something wrong with it. Where's the sponge? Idea with the sponge from Moo Bill, by the way. How is the front bogey not screwed on straight? It's not cross-threaded. How is the front bogey not being screwed on straight? Is there a gap it's supposed to go in? Is it supposed to lay flat? Ah, that could have something to do with it. The fact that it wasn't seated in its little gap. Not the pickups. My incompetence. Oh! Let's turn the controller off. Cause yeah, I didn't realise I had this camera set up. I'm sorry. Yeah, because the front bogey has got like a little channel that it sits in. I've still got something stuck in my finger. It has a little channel that it was stuck in. It were riding on one edge of that channel. Thus, it wasn't seated properly. The front bogey was too far lifted, and the front wheels did not touch the track, which they now do. It's there, not the pickup problem. Problem that I can't screw things together properly. Slow over the points? Yes, works fine. Beautiful. High speed? Yeah, does that fine too. Lovely. I'm not going to run these for very long on this track because I know it's very dirty. So Tornado is done. Next in line, well, do we do the 9F or do we do the German one? Because the German one's interesting. We'll do the 9F. We'll keep normality and go in order. I bet the coupling hook's fallen out, hasn't it? Yes, of course it has. And actually, I don't know where it's gone. It'll be in the drawer somewhere. Anyway, we'll turn on to the 9F. Wrong camera. we will turn our attention to, again, hideous improfessionalism having to swivel cameras around, and it's deactivated. Yay! Let's make it actually straight. Good, right, I'm happy with that. Sponge, we will most definitely be needing the sponge. This is a £110 model. I do not want to ruin this. Yeah, the coupling up's gone again. Bloody thing. I need a new coupling. I did glue these couplings in because they kept dropping out. Held in by tiny fishtails. So what do we do first? I don't really want to have to take that plug out of the tender. I might. Yeah, I don't want to have to take the plug out of that tender. I think, as far as I can remember, if we undo that one for the drawbar, we get a little bit extra room, but not much. And I don't want to stress those wires. Then I think if we take these screws off... Ah, my camera's frozen. Apologies, we had audio then, but the camera was frozen. Anyway, apologies, the 9F is in. I can take out that screw. I think... Oh, I don't know if this is base plate is removable actually. It's got tender pickups. Ah, that coupling's gonna have to come off. Didn't think of that when I glued it in, did I? That was years ago I did that. What an idiot. It should come off fairly easily though. Need to break that coupling off. I glued the front one in because that definitely doesn't need to come off for everything. So now I'm going to have to try and get this coupling out. I think it needs to come off anyway. I don't think I can manage without it off. Oh, I really don't want to have to take that plug out, but I might have to because these wires are going to get in the way. We're going to try and take the plug out. Hornby, you've got a tool for it, but... Chuff. Hornby, you've got a tool for it, but apparently you can do it with 2 screwdrivers. Could do with a smaller one though, because this one's massive. Well, one of them is. The green one's massive. The grey one's fine. Right, I'm going to have to break out my screwdrivers. Parkside screwdrivers. Have I got a smaller one in here? Odds on I haven't. Marginally. Now what time is it? 5:30. I don't think we'll have this done by 6 o'clock. Shame. Oh well, we had 2 engines to do and I had stuff to tell you at the start, so that's good enough. Right, the plug's out, I haven't damaged it. The tender is free, so we don't have to worry about knackering the loco. Go over there for one moment. Oh, the wheels have come out now. Can you just go back in momentarily? Yes, you can. So, I need to get the tender body off at some point as well. But I'm going to have to get this coupling off. Try a little knife. A scalpel would be better. I don't know if I've already said that, but I don't have one. Try not to knacker any of the paintwork, just do it underneath. Oh, I don't know. Why did I glue it on? Obviously I never thought of... This wasn't recent either. This was probably when I first got it. But then that's broken, so then I'd have to get a new... I don't know if I've got any more NEM couplings. So, I'm wondering if I can just clean the pickups in situ. I may have to do that. I think I will do that. Yeah, because I'd need another NEM coupling, and I don't have one, and I don't really want to have to spend extortionate amounts on getting one. So, if I just leave the wheels as they are... Let me get my little torch. Put it in my mouth. I can feel what I'm doing. Where the hell are the pickups? Can't see what I'm doing here. I think I can just clean them in situ. I think that's what I'm going to have to do anyway. The screw needs to go back in. Oh, that was a stupid thing to go all the years ago. Well, when I first got it, which was 2021, 2020, can't remember. Oh well, I think I can clean them in situ anyway. If not, I will have to break it off and order an M coupling, but it's not essential. So, I'm not going to fuss over it, I'll manage. Stupid thing to do, but this is never going to get sold to anyone, so it's my own problem. A lot of stuff needs raking out of it though. I'm going to have to move over here because I can't see what I'm doing otherwise. These pickups have got a lot of fluff in them because I did have this loco when I was running on carpet. And they have got gunked up. Right, I'm going to try something. I don't think this lamp is actually a magnifying lamp. If you open the flap at the top, it's got a lens in it. Which I've never actually used it as a magnifying lamp before, but at the present moment I think it may be useful if I do. So apologies that everything's going to look weird, but I'm going to give it a go. So, bend it down like that. Does the other camera make it look any better? It's slightly wonky because one of the legs was resting on this. But for the moment, I think if I do this, it's alright just for a moment while I get all crap out of it. Just because it's a bit of a magnification, I can see what I'm doing. I did add some more weight to this tender. I don't know why I thought I needed to take the tender body off. We certainly don't. Wipe it on the towel, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? A bit bent, these tweezers as well. Right, I think we're alright there. So if you'll excuse me a moment while I shut the lid on that, and then rest the tripod leg back on here, everything should now be fine and dandy. Which it is. And this camera's gone a bit wonky now. Let's straighten it up. There we go. Right, we're back. So I think a simple clean of the wheels and try to access the pickups as best as I can. So we'll take the loco out of its cradle and replace it with the tender instead. So we'll get cracked on. How long have we got? We've got half. And yeah, when I said we might not be able to do this before 6, I think we'll be able to do it before 6. It's not like I can disassemble the motor and clean it. It has actually got a flywheel, the 9F. It's a very small one as far as I can remember. But it has got one. It's in a little hatch that I hadn't taken off before. Until a while ago anyway. And hadn't noticed that it has actually got a flywheel. Which would explain why it does slow down gradually. It's obviously got a lot of wheels, which could contribute to inertia, but yeah, it does have a flywheel. This is where I'm thinking of another engine and it doesn't have a flywheel when I open it, which would be hideously embarrassing, but oh well. Not dirty, these tender wheels, not even the positive rail really. They are just coming up a little bit shiny after I've given them a clean though, which is good. We'll try and clean the backs and access the pickups as best as we can. But the backs of the pit wheels aren't going to be getting filthy dirty because they're not really big beefy copper contacts on really rough wheels like the Scotsman is, because they get filthy. These are quite, you know, delicate small things that are not going to be arcing and making terrible contact. These will be making contact all of the time and they're not going to be getting absolutely filthy, so we don't need to be overly concerned over that. We don't need to open up the tender body, as I said earlier. I don't know why I said we needed to do that, because we don't. Yeah, that looks fine. I think that's the tender done. Do we put a spot of oil under the need it? Yes, they look a little bit dry. Spot of oil on the axles. And that didn't have any coming out then, come on. Spot. Spot. Only a tiny amount, you do not need to be chucking loads of oil. Just to aid free rolling and to prevent the plastic wearing down really, because this is sat into plastic. Lovely, give them a spin, a wiggle backwards and forward. In fact, if I squeeze it in the sponge, that is fine. That is the tender done. The weight is actually rattling now. Do I take the tender body off? We'll take the tender body off. So I think, as far as I can remember, you squeeze. The instructions say you squeeze and it comes off. It may need to be persuaded though. Yeah, it's got clips. So there we go, that is the 9F's tender. As you can see, there is a 8-pin socket, space for a speaker as well. All the connections come through to here, capacitor, quite messy wiring actually that. Why am I keeping my cotton buds over there? They want to be over there, because then I can't get to my towel. So, there's a load of weight that I stuck inside of it, look at all that. The original is this bit of bar that goes in, but because the tender was so light, when it was running tender first, it used to derail around curves because it was so light, it used to just jump over off the track. So, I put a load of weight in here. I haven't got a better solution than blue tack, it's worked fine. I don't really want to tape it or glue it in place, so if I just re-stick everything together. This is out of my dad's old drill. Because we were using it because we have like a resin and stone drive. We were using it to mix resin and stone mixture to repair the drive because it's been down a fair number of years. And my dad got resin from he put like a paddle mixer in the end of his drill. Got resin inside of his drill, gunked it up and it didn't work. So I had his drill and took all this out of it, and that's a nice heavy bit of metal. Might be from the hammer drill bit, that I think. But yeah, it's not the neatest way. Black tack would be better. But nobody ever looks in the tender, and it's, you know, kept itself in place until a few minutes ago when I was faffing with it. I do have some more blue tack actually. I think when I fitted that, I didn't have that much blue tack, so if I pull some more off, because all my memorabilia on my walls was blue tack, but I replaced it with hot glue because blue tack just expands and contracts so much that they all just dropped off in hot and cold weather. So if we lap that on there, lead like roofing stuff would be better, but it's fine. Adding this, put some blue tack in the bottom actually, that sticky stuff has gone. It's fine, it works. Ever since I put this weight in here, it hasn't been derailing. So yeah, some more wheel weights like those two that are on there would be better, but I don't really need them. Right, let's sit back down now. I can smoosh you down, don't press too hard, don't break the tender chassis. Chassis, as some people say. Why? It's chassis, grow up. That was a joke. I have no interest in how you say chassis. This is where it doesn't fit. Oh, it does fit. Seat it back on the clips. Click, click. Click and click. I think. Is it seating? Slightly. That's old blue tack, isn't it? Horrible. Never mind. Yeah, that screw will keep it in place. That's good. Tender sorted. That is the tender done. We'll not put that screw in yet because that holds the drawbar for the locomotive in. We have 20 minutes to sort the loco. First thing to do is we shall look at the pickups. That other screwdriver needs putting away as well. Switch to this camera for a bit. Been a while since I've been in here. We haven't actually got loads of locos left. I mean, 3 of them are 040s. What have we got left? Let's have a look. We've got the Bachmann D11, again, like with the 9F, there's not much you can actually service on that. We've got 3 040s, the German one, and then for diesels, because I've already done the 8F, and we're not doing the 31 because it doesn't need doing and it's far too much of a pain to do when it runs fine. I mean, all these run fine, it's just a bit of a check-up. The 31 was probably sorted, you know, not that long ago, looked at not that long ago because it had all those problems, didn't it? But the only thing after that is the HST. Obviously there's the dummy car, which will just need wheels cleaning and a bit of oil, but yeah, there's not that many locos left. Another 2 streams, maybe 3. A short one for a 3rd one, and we'll have this done. So that is the base keeper. A little bit oily, that. Tiny bit where it's leaked through, so we'll wipe that off. That's the base keeper. Then we have the pickups, which I believe need that screw out. Is that too big? Yeah, let's go for the red-ended one then. Just that parkside. I could have got another parkside screwdriver out, but this one fits. I'm not sure if the drawbar screw needs to come out as well. Oh no, we're at the pickups. Never mind. I thought there was another plate that oh, it does lift up, but oh, okay, I see. These here, that there that's lifted up, is actually the pickup. I didn't think it was. I thought there was another layer under that. I think that's fooled me before, because those pickups aren't actually like riveted on like the Tornado ones. They just sort of rest on top and then get clamped in place by this. Whereas if you don't lift that up, if you go underneath that and lift it, he says trying to lift it, it then comes up. But for that, you do need these out. So yeah, I was right. There are 2 sections, just not 2 sections in the way I thought there were 2 sections. quite a bit of wear, well, paint wear anyway on that drawbar where it's been moving about. I might put a spot of oil on that, a tiny spot. Shall I do it now before I forget? I will do it now before I forget. Where's the drawbar gone? I'm going to put a tiny spot where it screws in, because that's got a little bit of paint wear. I don't really want it to go any further than that. And then I'll put a spot where it's been rubbing as well. I do have it on the longest setting on the drawbar, because I do have second radius curves. A spot there, and that'll just prevent that getting any further. It's a tiny spot anyway, so it's not going to be detrimental. So then, although it is hardwired, there is enough room to pivot that out of the way and have a look underneath. Things look... Oh no, we don't want to start pulling the wheels out of the bearings. Pulling the wheels out of the slots. Oh god, that's going to be a pain to get in now. Why did it lift up? Oh, there it's in. So we do not want to take the wheels out because there's 10 of them, and it will be a royal pain in the arse to get them out. So we just need to get any crap out, give the axles a bit clean, get all the old oil out, give it a little bit of a re-oil, and that's all we can do underneath, and obviously wipe the pickups as well. I have to say there's a lot more room on the wires than on Tornado, so although there isn't spring-loaded contacts, which is a shame, you know, it's a lot easier to do than Tornado. Cotton buds. Mop-up job underneath, speck of oil on the axles, and that'll be fine. Just get all the old stuff out. It's not really a mop-up job because it's not overly excessively oiled. Because I've already been in here once, but obviously stuff from the gear train gets under here, and it just wants a little bit of fresh oil in. All the other stuff goes black, obviously, because it's just what oil does. That looks fine. So now, we want a little bit more than a speck, but we want plenty of oil. I'm not going to oil the entire axle, I'll just put a spot where each bearing is, so that means 10 spots of oil. Spot there where that bearing is, a spot there where that bearing is. That didn't come out then. Spot of oil where that bearing is. Spot of oil there. Spot of oil there. Spot of oil there, and obviously the oil will work its way like that as well. The gears still look to have plenty of oil on them, so I don't think I'll be putting any more on. There's some grease left in as well from the factory, because, yeah, when I came in here last time I oiled it as well, but I didn't take the grease out. So there's some grease left in some factory, and there's some oil from when I put it on last time I was in here. So the gears do not need oiling. I will oil the motor bearings, however, though. That's all we can do under there. How long have we got? 15 minutes. Let's not rush, but let's see if we can get the 9F done. Because T isn't going to be ready exactly for 6. We can get to these, well, yeah, these pickups can be cleaned. That one's filthy at the back. Half of them have got paint right up to them. I'm not going to start scraping that off. Thankfully they clean up very easily because they're small. They only need a very... I'm going to be very careful not to break these. I was with Tornado, but it's just an inevitable fact that when you service Tornado, the pickups are going to break. Spring-loaded contacts would have solved that. Hair around the wires there, let's get that off. Right, let's give the pickups a secondary dry. They all seem to be bent outwards nicely, so there's plenty of spring in them. Cotton bud sod off. Guide them into place. There isn't any pickups on the middle wheel, I don't think. No, there isn't, because it's unflanged. It would barely touch the track anyway, so there's just pickups on these 8 wheels. But there's 8 wheels on here, and then another 6 on the tender, so that's 8 and 6 is 14, so that's 7 wheels. a line picking up, and that's more than adequate. What's that, 14 wheels out of 16, 18? That's more than enough picking up. Some might say too much, but I'm not going to complain. That's all we can do under there. Now, this plate goes a certain way round, and it goes that way round. So, 3 screws in. Need to make sure this pickup plate is seated properly, otherwise it will bend that other base keeper. Screwdriver. That's the wrong screwdriver. Not tighten that middle one down, because I did notice that plate was slightly, ever so slightly bent. Just meant as a gentle retainer. So there we go. Inside now, and then clean the wheels, which we've already done on the tender, and oh yeah, the body comes off because I've taken that screw out. That was helpful, but slightly alarming. Bodies on these don't really need a clean. Now we've got to wiggle the front off the 9F, because that does hook on rather funnily. Come on. I think the flywheel's under there. There we go, that's off. Nothing damaged. Lovely. Why? There's oil all round that post there. I don't know why, because I have not oiled that. There always seems to be oil back round where the body fixing screw is, and where the thread is, look. At least that is a thread. It's a thread, not self-tapped, so that's brilliant. There's always oil round the back. Don't know why. That tape's come off from where the wire was held in place. Never mind, that cotton bud can be saved for use again. Right, so we need that screwdriver-ish. Yeah, that's the right size. Good eye for screwdriver sizes. No, I haven't, because that was the wrong screwdriver size. That's the right screwdriver size. We don't need to oil the gears, we'll just take a look inside and mop up any excess that's splashed onto these covers. Does this one come off? Yes, it does. So I think the flywheel is in here, because you wouldn't put a flywheel on the end of the worm drive shaft. Oh, I was wrong. Yeah, because there's a daylight gap, isn't there, under the 9F? You can see straight through to the other side. On a normal engine like Tornado, the worm drive would be here and the flywheel would be here, but on this one, because it has to go through the back, the worm drive is there and the flywheel's there. So if I pop this cover off, there should be a flywheel. If there isn't, I'm going to be embarrassed. And there is a flywheel. And like I did with Tornado, there's a little permanent marker blob there, so I can see when it's spinning. So we do need to get mopping up. We've got 9 minutes, but I can run over slightly. Oil around there that can just be quickly mopped up. It's all gonna... It shouldn't happen as much now we are mopping up. That worm drive looks to have enough on. It'll get distributed round anyway. There we go. Spot on the motor bearings, and I mean a spot. You do not want to get oil inside the motor or on the commutator. We'll go for 2 spots actually, because it's a fairly thick bearing, thick shaft. And we'll go for 2 on the back as well, if we can get in there. We can't actually get in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some on the end of a screwdriver. Can that screwdriver get in there? Yeah, so... Oh, you can hit fireworks. I'm just going to put a tiny spot on the end of a screwdriver and then just touch that to the shaft in there and it'll make its way in. I think the needle on the Gauge Master one is of a consistent thickness as well, because although this one's very fine at the end, it's got a collar before it, so that causes issues. Retry. Let's get that chat back up on the phone because it keeps crashing. We'll switch to the other camera. Right, not really much we can do. Stick that tape down. The covers, yeah, could do with a mop out. Still some grease left in there. If I'm not mistaken, that one went not on there. That one's barely oily at all because that's the flywheel end. Flywheel, cover. Start playing silly beggars with me. No, I meant to mop the oil, not remove the tape. Tape. I could cut my own insulating tape, but it'd come off anyway, so there's really not much point. It's not critical to the operation of the locomotive. We'll just stick it on there instead of faffing about trying to put it on the side. Stick. Yeah, it's fine anyway. So that's just about all we can do in there. We've oiled the motor. So that cotton bud can be used again, although it is a bit fluffy. So I will get rid of all the oil off my hands on the clean towel and slot this in. So I think it has to go in the front first. That tape comes off, but whatever. I think that has to locate in the front first, and then it clips over the back. I might have to pick it up to do this. Well, I think we're nearly there. Oh, we are there. Yep, we're seated now. Sponge. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I wondered where all them spare screws were from. It's because I didn't screw the covers back in place. Royal pillock. What a pillock. You can all laugh at me for that one. I did wonder, I thought, have I not screwed something back in place on the tender? No, you haven't screwed the covers in place, you dozy old twonk. I reckon we can have this done in today's stream. We can have it done in today's stream. Didn't think we would, but yeah, there's really not that much you can do. You can't disassemble the motor like you can on old Triangles. Do I check this still works? Yes. It doesn't work. Or is that just because the battery's dead? Unless... yeah, it won't work. Because what the plug will do is send the connections from the locomotive, send the pickups from the locomotive to the tender will add its connections to the ones from the locomotive, and then return it to the locomotor. Because that's why there's 4 pins on this plug, 2 going out and then 2 coming back, I presume. So I don't think it will work. We could test the motor, but that's pointless. So if we get the body on and connect the tender up, it should work. So that's my theory why it doesn't work anyway. Well, I think I know that's why it doesn't work. There's something badly wrong if it doesn't work when I connect the tender. A broken wire, so to speak. Bit dodgy this, because you have to hold it while you slot the front end in, and then you have to pull it backwards to get this massive peg in that hole. It's a bit finicky with alignment as well. If you don't get the front in, it won't go well. If you don't line the front up properly, it's not going to go in. This tape's coming off. If it comes off again, I'm just going to leave it because it's not critical. It can't get snagged by the worm gear or the flywheel because they're covered in. No, don't start playing silly beggars with me. Now come on, I got it almost first try last time. Ah, it's gone in. Nearly. Yes, we're in. So that screw, the bigger screw went in there. That screw went in there with the drawbar. Oh no, don't fall over. I could do with a sponge. We'll get the sponge in a moment. This workbench also needs a clean, it's filthy. No, they're the wrong way around, aren't they? Because that one's got a countersink to go in that hole. That's right, yeah. Let's get the sponge. I think that's right anyway. I think the slightly more worn looking screw was to the left. I think that one would make sense as well, because that has like a thin thread and then a smooth wider shank of the screw which will pin that in place. Then that one goes in there because that's the countersink one. Yeah, that's right. Screwdriver keeps slipping out. If I connect the tender, I hope it works. So that needs to go through the slot in the tender. Does this go through the slot in the tender? I can't remember. No, it doesn't. That one goes through the slot in the tender, and then the first hole on the drawbar goes in because we're running on second radius. So we need that screw. So we need that hole, sorry. Screwdrivers. We need that to be longer to get us around the second radius as well. We'll just quickly remagnetise this. That's the wrong screwdriver, it's not big enough. Still the wrong screwdriver. Oh no, that's because it's bottomed out. Never mind. Does this work? No, because I haven't connected this. That can only go that way around. I do not think we'll have time to clean the wheels, because I do not want tea to be sat on the table when I go downstairs, because that's bad. I could text my mum and ask her what the time is, if it's nearly ready, but no, I'll just stop. We'll just clean the wheels next time. But for the most part, it is serviced. It is, 1 minute past 6 already, and I haven't even got the cotton buds to hand easily, and yeah, we'll just do it next week. Does this work with a battery? Yes, works on all the tender wheels. I can actually get the connections right. Works on the tender wheels, works on that wheel, works on that wheel. Won't work on the middle wheel because there's no pickups. Does work on that wheel. It works on that wheel, but the battery's just not contacting it properly. And there we go. So, last engine that's serviced today. We've managed to finish off 2 from last week, one of which was running in the wrong direction, needed wheels cleaning. The other one, which needed its wheels cleaning, we've lubricated the axles where necessarily. We've done all the motion and all that jazz. So now we'll whack this on the layout, and we'll give it its, well, not its final run, but we'll give it its first run, I should say, after the service. Please don't deactivate camera, and it has deactivated, of course it has. There's the 9F. Give it a spin. Yep. Of course it still works. Make sure it's railed because there are a load of wheels. Yeah, that's running fine. Of course, it's not running any quieter or any smoother because it was running fine before. However, it's reassured me that everything inside is still working fine. And yeah, just nice to give it a little bit of a check-up. So that's the 9F done. That is the 1-to-1 edition 9F, by the way. And that can now go back in my drawer because I will not be doing any more servicing of my own locomotives. I will be fixing up that 31 and sorting all the cosmetics out on it. So, do you reckon the camera's going to deactivate? Oh wow, it hasn't. Amazing. Let's get it. There's no point getting it super lined up, but get it somewhere like. There we go. Right, I'm going to bring the keyboard in again for the end of the stream. Just because it's easier. So, I don't think we've done too bad today. I've just reeled off the list of things we've done. We've sorted out Tornado, cleaned all its wheels, motion, etc. Sorted out Flying Scotsman that was going in the wrong direction. Sorted out its stalling problem as well. Backed off the pickup plate and that, not stalling problem, the fact that it won't go in forward direction. And that's worked fine. So I'm very, very pleased with what we've managed today. Thank you all for joining. And next week, in next week's stream, I forgot to put that coupling on the 9F. I'll have to do that next week. But in next week's stream, we shall continue on. We'll clean the 9F wheels and put that coupling back in. And then we'll move on to the German engine and maybe I hope to get the German engine, the 9F and the 2040s done next stream. And after that, it'll just be the D11, the 101 and the HST, which we can probably get done in one stream because it's a ring field, it's very simple. So yeah, I will just remind you before the end of the stream that I do have my eBay page. So if you are in the market for eBay stuff, then there is my page as well. Here it is. And yep, so I buy broken, non-working or poorly working model trains, fix them up, and then I sell them on. So here is my page, and it's just a reminder, the link is in the chat further up, it's just a reminder that this page is here. If you want reliably working, properly serviced, thoroughly looked at, and in my opinion fairly priced model trains, then here is my new eBay page. No model trains will be sold on the old eBay account that I used, that was my mum and dad's. Purely my items will be sold here on Hybroken's Trains. The link is further on up the chat. I think we haven't even needed this. Oh, we have needed the soldering iron. I can turn it off. But yeah, that page is there. I will, of course, I'm not saying you have to buy things from me, I'm not asking you to, but if you do decide to buy something from me, then I will thank you, of course, very much for supporting my channel and helping towards a little bit of income to get the layout sorted and get new equipment and stuff like that. So just keep my page in mind, of course, and I will send you a signed letter if you send me a message saying I'm subscribed to your channel. I'll send you a signed letter like I mentioned earlier that I often do. So, my mouse isn't working on this map. I think that brings us to the end of the stream, and Lewis has just popped in and said, thoroughly enjoyed the live stream, thank you so much and take care everyone. Yep, thank you very much for watching, Lewis, and I will say to everyone actually now, I can get my script up because it's not playing ball. I will say to everyone now, thank you everyone for joining me for today's live stream. It really has been wonderful to see you all here for today. I'll start that again. Thank you everyone for joining me for today's live stream. It really has been wonderful to see you all here today. And thank you very much for joining and commenting as always. And thank you for watching again. I hope you have enjoyed watching the stream as much as I have running it. I hope you've learned something, and yeah, I hope watching me service and get trains working properly again, and also maintaining them this week has been fun for you. And as I always say, these weekly streams really are one of my favourite types of content to produce and make. I'll hopefully see you same time next week, but it will be on Saturday, not Sunday. I wanted to have a bonfire night last night, and we were having one, so that's why it's on Sunday instead. So it should be back to normal at 4:15 Saturday next week, but in my busy life probably won't be, but hopefully we will. But in the meantime, I would just like to say thank you all very much once again for joining this evening. Thank you for commenting and being in the live chat. Been lovely to see you all, and of course we've had a fairly successful stream. We've got lots of things working again. Thank you very much for watching. Do take care, and I will see you again next week. Enjoy your evening, folks.